Alright, hope everybody's having a good one. Welcome to Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 with Cookie Pirate. Today we're flying the Cirrus VisionJet out of Tikehau in the Tuamotu atolls in French Polynesia. We're headed to Makemo, going at 27,000 feet. It's looking like it's going to be an hour and 1 minute. Climb aboard, let's go flying. Checked out that side. Let's check the VTail Maria, welcome. You say climb aboard and there's a guy in the plane already, yeah. I don't know about this one, I don't think so. I actually think I found how to turn that off in the other aircraft. So the SR-22, the X-Cub, stuff like that. Bromic, what's going on? That guy is rude and doesn't know protocol. Yeah, he's supposed to help me pre-flight the freaking plane. Make himself useful. Alright, everything is checked out on the plane. Engine covers are off. And the pitot cover is off. I guess now it would be the appropriate time to say, climb aboard and let's go flying. Now that we've pre-flighted the airplane, we can remove the cap's safety pin, the emergency exit pin. Obviously, we're not going to touch those. Let me go ahead and pull up the flight planner. Let's do the weight and balance. We're going to carry 150 pounds. What? Hold on a second. I typed 150. Why does it change it to 48? Well, let's load up a decent amount of fuel. $150. Alright, balance changed just a little bit there. Fuel is good. 150 pounds let me off, you'll crash. Nah, it just, for whatever reason, it was a little bit buggy. Not loading the seats, because I'm flying solo. 50% cargo, 50% fuel. Not concerned about MTCG, we are looking good. Alright, that should be all taken care of now. Well, let's go ahead and, let's see, we've done all of this. Alright, pre-flight is complete, parking brake stays set. turn these battery switches on right here. And the 2 generator switches. We start the engine. Let me grab a shortcut view. I can see the switch panel a little bit better. Strobe lights on. Thrust level is confirmed at idle. So in this plane, the strobe lights actually control the nav lights as well. So those are your wingtip lights, whereas in the SR22 they're separate. Don't need to hold the brakes because the parking brake is set. We're going to hide that for a moment so we can access this. Turn to run. Let's crank this sucker up. Engine instruments look good. Engine ice protection is not required. It's warm. It's 26 Celsius on the ground here. Can clear that there. Alright, bleed off. So master oxygen needs to come on. And then air supply goes from fresh to bleed air. What this is doing is pressurizing the aircraft. If for some reason this failed, or we didn't turn it on, the aircraft would not pressurize, and by the time we got to between 15 and 20,000 feet, we would probably start to suffer from hypoxia. I'll talk about that more when we get airborne. Avionics are complete. Bleed switch is on. Or we taxi, we don't need to worry about that. I don't know how to get the weather here. There's no reporting weather on the ground at Tikehau. So the best thing I can do is probably look it up. Just Tikehau weather. And try to grab the pressure. If we can't do that, the next best option is to look at the chart. 13 is the airport elevation. That's 13 feet. And it's saying somewhere around minus 20 right now. So what we'll do is actually just dial this up until this reads about, yeah, like that there. So 2996. Should be okay. Hypoxia Helios Airways, yeah, that was a tragic example of what can happen with hypoxia. Also the Payne Stewart crash up in South Dakota. I don't want to get into that. I really don't like talking about airplane crashes. And it sounds odd, you know, because not really many people like that kind of topic, but it's personal for me, so I don't want to get into it. Alright, let's go ahead and configure the autopilot. We're going to set this to 27,000 feet. This can cruise at 31, but you're going to burn a lot of fuel getting up to there, and you're going to have a reduction in performance. So we'll just set it at 27. FLC on, it programs us to fly at 165 knots on the climb out. Check the flight controls real quick. Rudder's good. Elevators are good. Ailerons are good. Trim to takeoff parameters. It's a little difficult to see exactly what that's set, but pitch trim should be, I think, about 3 positive. Alright, that clears, so that's good. Flaps to half. Let's just confirm that. Good, back in. Takeoff, go around. No, we're not doing that. Flight director should be set to 10 degrees. Well, that parking brake released and we can begin taxi. Before we take off, landing light will be on at the runway. Pitot heat on. Let's actually just go ahead and turn that on now, because we're getting that indicator. Fuel quantity miscompare. That means we just need to go into here and set the initial fuel. Fuel on board sync, confirm, and next. We're just setting the route direct. We'll choose an approach once we get closer into Makemo. And then initialization accept, and we are good. When we take off this right here, we'll have to go on. That may have to go on. Or no, this is off. It stays off until we get airborne, I believe. Our takeoff procedure, pretty straightforward. Rotate at 85 knots, bring the landing gear up, bring the flaps up at 115, and airspeed, the climb table, we have it set at 165, so we're looking good. So we can go back and actually turn that off. Alright, clear left, clear right, clear ahead, release the parking brake. And let's go ahead and taxi. Alright, we're clear of the fuel boxes, so we're going to go ahead and taxi out. We're going to take runway 6 because the wind is very strong out of the northeast. And we'll have to remember, unlike a prop plane, it does take a little bit of time for the jet engine to spool up and to get the noticeable effect of the increase in power. Alright, so we're going to turn right, getting out onto the runway. And then we're going to do a 180 at the end. We could probably make it from here, but I don't want to chance it with this plane. This is not a very long runway. This is not a big island, as we'll see in a moment. Let's get out on the runway here. Taxi down. This is the runway 6 end. That's where we want to be. So we've got a little turnaround pad right here. So let's go ahead and take that, hit the brakes gently. Oh, whoa, what just happened? What did I just hit? Are you kidding me right now? That just took the plane airborne. What happened? Ah! Well, I don't know what I pressed there. All of a sudden, try to key command, and great. So we got to do this all over. Okay. Well, that kind of sucks. Let me just go back in and make sure all of this is correct. It should all be the same. That's right. Is the weight and balance still correct? That has to get redone. Okay. There's a glitch in the matrix, yeah, right? I don't understand how that happened. Alright, anyway though, that on. Veto heat. Those can stay off. Strobe lights. We'll go ahead and turn the landing light on. Man, that sucks. I don't know what happened there. There's 27,000. I know all our flight controls are good. We'll set the flaps to half real quick. Alright. They're confirmed down. Oxygen is good. Takeoff pitch. Set that to 3. Now what you can do is experiment with the dial, and there will be a range that it lets you in. Otherwise it'll give you that warning indicator or caution to tell you to reset. Alright, let's try this one more time. That was so weird. Pro pilot moment, pro streamer moment, folks. Sorry about that again. But we are set much faster this time, because it's the exact same stuff that we just did, so run through it much faster. Runway's clear, let's throttle down a little bit. We'll make the turn. We're carrying a good speed. Yeah, so we lost 3 or 4 minutes there. Yeah. It was a travel in time, yeah. Let's get lined up. This pavement's a little deceptive. It looks like they have a left shoulder, not much of a right one. So we're actually... It looks like we're in the middle, but we're not quite. Alright, we're good now. Alright, full power. Engine instruments are all looking good. Airspeed is alive. We're going to rotate at 85 knots. It's 55. 65. 75. 85, rotate. Brakes. Alright, we've got a positive rate of climb. Let's go ahead and bring the gear up. We're looking for 115. We can bring the flaps up. There's 110. It's lower than it was, just a little bit to get that speed up. Alright, flaps up. Can't really see much at the moment, but it's going to get really nice here. We can begin a turn on course. We're at 800 feet. Just going to slowly hand fly FLC. VNav on. Nav on. And It is turning to intercept the course. There we go. Alright, now that we're airborne, we're going to go ahead and turn FMS auto throttle on and FMS speed is set. It'll accelerate us to 165. Let's grab a quick look outside. Alright, that's it right there. This is the coral atoll of Tikehau. It is the westernmost. Actually, no, that's not true. That is the westernmost right there. This is the runway that we took off. We came this direction, and then have a turn out this way to climb. This is the only real village on the island. It's pretty small. This right up ahead is Rangiroa. This is the largest of the Tuamotus. And you can't really see it, but out in that direction over there would be I think out over this direction you would see Tahiti. If we climb high enough, we might get a very brief glimpse of it. Let's go back into the cockpit. Let's make sure we are in climb detente. Alright, there we're set. Once we get above 10,000, we can lower the nose a little bit for a faster airspeed. I mean, we're not going 250. This plane doesn't have that performance that really becomes a factor. But if we wanted to, we could climb a little bit faster. We could get to our cruising altitude faster by raising the nose and lowering the speed to whatever our best rate of climb speed is. I don't know what that is in this plane exactly. I could look it up and we'd find it. However, it also does change with altitude, so we would have to pay attention to that. 160 is best rate of climb, actually, so 165 gives us just a little bit better engine cooling, but with a jet you're not really as worried about that as you would be with like a piston prop. So I guess it makes sense to stay at 165 for best rate of climb. Cruise climb you would probably maybe up to 200 or something like that. Let's grab another look out of the plane because we're gonna have a little ways to go. So, but here we are looking over Rangiroa, and I think the airport is actually up on the north side of this. If you look down here, it's just a lot of little, kind of coral reef, beaches, very, very small islands that make up the atoll. And if we take a look back that way, that's Tikehau, where we took off from, kind of right over here. And there's one more out here called Mataiva, which is really small. And that is the furthest west in the Tuamotus you can go. Tahiti is probably about 150 miles to the south, out that direction, so I actually don't think you can really see it. We might be able to see it once we get to cruise altitude if we're not already too far away from it. I'm just zooming in to see if we can get any of a glimpse of it. I don't think so. If we're in a corporate jet that climbs much faster and can cruise at a higher altitude, you're talking 30-something, maybe even 40,000 feet, you'd probably have a better chance of seeing it. But this is the whole way. It's just going to be looking at these kind of coral rings. Unlike the Marquesas and the Society Islands, there's really no elevation to these. It's all low-lying atolls. Absolutely beautiful. You see kind of the lagoons and just the kind of rings of small islands that make these up. I pull the map up. Our route today is going straight over most of these. Yeah, so Rangiroa is up here. This is Tikehau, where we took off from, and Mataiva over here. We're flying over a bunch of these, or kind of in between a few. Most of them are not really sizable and well known. This one here, Fakarava, is one of the more popular ones. And then, I don't know what this one right down here is. Anaa, I'm not familiar with that. Makemo is another sizable one. This is actually one of the larger ones. It's very long, it's kind of narrow. That's where we're landing. And then if you were to go out this way, you would eventually find, yep, here it is, Hao. That's another popular one. And you go out even further, and then eventually it's going to be somewhere on here. You would find the, yep, all the way down here, the Gambier Islands. That would be about a 3-hour flight in this plane. Is kind of separate from the Tuamotus. This actually does have some elevation, but they're kind of linked up. I think they're a bit geographically or geologically different. But this is a really expansive area. For perspective, this is Tahiti and Bora Bora over here, and the Marquesas are up here. So these atolls all just kind of sit in between all of that. Alright, so we're coming up here almost to 18,000. I'm getting a little bit of a late start today. So let's see if this automatically switches. It should, now that we have that programmed. It did not. Interesting. Alright, now it's set to standard. I have to say, this is not the most exciting place to fly, in my opinion. Because when you're flying all real high up, you're just cruising around and looking at open ocean, and other than the different shapes of these, they all are pretty much the same. There's really not a lot of feature to them. However, taking off and landing, you get some absolutely beautiful views. Makemo is really pretty. But yeah, you can kind of see the blue, the light blue of the shallow parts of the atolls and stuff like that. Now, a lot of these, the water is actually kind of deep in the middle. And when I say deep, in here, this is the deepest. And it's only like 120 feet, or maybe about 40 meters. Whereas opposed to the ocean, of course, out this way gets several thousand feet deep. But they are lagoons. There's also a lot of really good... Oh, that's pretty there. We're getting some color. You get a lot of really good snorkeling in these. Tahitian pearls, a lot of these actually are coming from the Tuamotus. Fishing, of course. Lots of coconut groves. And we're starting to get a little color from some of these out here. Not bad overall. This here is saying about 56 minutes en route. By the time we level off, we're going to accelerate, and that's going to change very rapidly. So it isn't visually the most appealing, as opposed to Tahiti, the Marquesas, stuff like that, but it is relaxing. up here at this altitude, the airspeed is actually switched over, and that's because at this point we've switched over to Mach airspeed. $23,000, we've got 4 to go, so about 4 minutes we'll reach our cruising altitude. Let me check our flight performance. If we go to 29, it says it's too high for the Sky Vector says it's too high for the route. It's not practical. So I think we'll stick with 27. If we were doing like a 2.5 hour flight, we'd go all the way to 31, which is the surface ceiling of the airplane. The surface ceiling is not, contrary to popular belief, it is not the highest altitude the plane can go. Surface ceiling is the maximum practical elevation, or I should say altitude, that the plane can practically and properly operate. You can go above it, but you're going to burn so much fuel and you're going to suffer a real hit in performance. And as you go above the surface ceiling, it's going to require more power, and you're going to have fewer configurations in terms of your aircraft attitude. Your attitude is pitch up and down, your roll, yaw also, but that's not really much of a factor when you're flying at high altitudes on autopilot and stuff like that. But you have a more limited range that you can pitch up or down. And then eventually you're going to hit something called your absolute ceiling. That is, as you could expect, based on the name of the term, that is the point that the plane can physically go no higher. And you're limited to one pitch attitude. If you pull back, the plane is going to stall because there's not enough airflow over the wings. If you lower the nose, you're going to start descending to gain speed. And at the absolute ceiling, you have to be running maximum power. And that you don't want to do that in a jet. So you don't go above the surface ceiling when you fly, and we're actually going below it. Because in a short flight like this, it's just not practical to spend a whole ton of time trying to get real high. You're gaining negligible performance by going those extra couple thousand feet. So 27 is a good cruise altitude for this long of a flight. We've got 1,000 feet to go. That's our indicator. That tone is telling us 1,000 to go. And you see how we only have 37% thrust? That's because the higher we go to maintain that climb performance, the engine just doesn't get as much thrust with the thinner air, and you don't really require it because the air is thinner. If we were to throttle the plane, you'd be out of this green, which could cause engine damage. And I'm not quite as well versed with the performance of jet engines as I am prop planes, to include the Cubcrafters, X-Cub, the SR-22, stuff like that. But from the little bit of understanding that I have, that's kind of how that stuff works. Just do a little reading about it. I've never flown a jet in the real world. I legally can't without an instructor, and they're so expensive, that's just not something that I've ever really looked into or considered. Would be cool to try it at some point, though. Alright, we're leveled off at 27,000, so we're going to start accelerating. And, by the time we get to that cruise speed, our true airspeed should reach about 290. We're doing 290 over the ground right now, so we have about a 34 knot tailwind, which is really good. It's minus 27 up here. And that's minus 18 Fahrenheit. This plane actually displays both the Celsius and Fahrenheit. That's pretty cool. Alexander, welcome. Hey, I have to weld, like right now I have to. Change wires on the HOTAS 4 fully. I have to take it apart. To get it to plug into your computer. If you don't, you can't use it. I would not void your warranty. I would exchange it for something that's going to work with what you need it for. Mr. Tom, the bomb edits. W! Hell, what's going on, man? Alright, so our cruise detente is set right here, Mach 0.52, and we're at 0.445, so the plane is still slowly accelerating. But up here, the air is thin, it takes a while to accelerate that way. Warranty has expired a whole year ago. That sucks. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you there. It's like, gotta go, but win. Thanks, man. I appreciate you stopping by. Have a great evening. Let's grab a look outside. Okay, now we can start to see some more of these. Yeah, as I suspected, you really can't see Tahiti. I was hoping we'd get a little bit of a view of it, but I guess not. Well, so be it. That happens. This is Rangiroa, and Tikehau, you can just barely see it, but that's right out over here, and we took off kind of right about there. If we look ahead, I'm actually not familiar with most of these. These two here, there's like 48 of these. These are Arutua, Apataki, and this right down here is Kaukura. This is Tuamotu. And you can't really see it yet. Maybe a little bit. Yeah, you can. This is Aratika. Some fun names. Once we pass over the tip of this one, that's about the halfway point for us. This right here is Fakarava. That's another large one, and actually one of the more popular ones. go back into the cockpit here. And we're at 0.475, so this little green bar telling us our range of airspeed. In jet planes, you don't have the yellow and red, you just have this pinstripe. Or at least in particular when you're at these higher altitudes using the Mach numbers. This is telling you, the plane cannot withstand performance above that speed. But you have to try really hard to get above that speed. Other than just basically pushing the airplane into a dive. Which you don't do that in a piston plane either for similar reasons. Stress the airframe. So it looks like 204 is going to be our indicated airspeed here. We're up to 293, we're doing 327 over the ground. That's really good performance. We pull our map back up, yeah, we're not quite halfway. This right here is the end of Tuamotu, and that's about the halfway point. And Fakarava right here. Now we start flying over these last two is probably about the point that we'll plan our descent. Actually maybe a little before that. But we'll know, we'll go 1, 2, and 3 once we pass over that there. I believe this is Katiu. And this is Kauehi. I think I've flown this route a couple times, going from Fakarava to Makemo in the SR-22, and I'm pretty sure if I don't have these backwards that I've got that right. So the runway here is 1129. I think we're going to land runway 11 based on the weather when I planned the flight. Now it could shift, it can always change. I would say if we wanted to, we could get out of this here. And if we do procedures, we'll set approach. You could do the RNAV, or we could do the visual. I think honestly the visual, it's fine as long as the weather stays good. Can't really plot a course. Let's just check on the tablet here. Oh no, because we didn't activate, but it should have loaded. Oh, here we go. Oh, take a look at that. This is telling us top of descent there, but now it's telling us all this wonky stuff. That's not right. So what we're gonna do is go in and modify that. I was gonna say that top of descent is way late. So we're going to get out of that there. We're going to go to flight plan. And I'm going to see if we can set a course. We're going to go... That's having us fly over the airport in that weird course. Yeah, we don't want to do that. So what we're going to do is get out. We're going to hit procedure. Vectors to straight. That straight fix that you see kind of load up on pretty much every approach if you set up a visual is basically distant from the final approach point, identified as final. And that just kind of helps us get aligned up with a little bit more time. Looks like it's starting to get just a little bit hazy. Alright. Yeah, let me go back in and get this kind of figured out. What we'll do is actually hit activate. We're going to hit that right there and just head direct. So it's going to turn us, I think, slightly. Let me make sure that Alright, so our top of descent is starting over Kauehi. That, yeah, okay, that is the way that we want to go. So we're set up good now. It's 23 minutes until we get there. And our speed is actually peaked out at 195, so we're doing 337 over the ground. That's pretty good. So let's get out of that there real quick. We're going to go flight plan VNAV, and it's telling us top of descent in about 9 minutes. That sounds like a relatively steep descent rate, but the aircraft can do it. We'll be fine. So we're gonna trust that. About another look outside. Yeah, okay, yeah, this is Fakarava right here. So we are just about right over the edge of Tuamotu. And that's basically the halfway point. So you look back this way, you see all these rings. This one is actually kind of unique because the island encloses the lagoon. Like if you look down here, these are just kind of sandbars and reefs, so most of these are not fully enclosed. That one right there is an exception. It is fully encircled by land. So that water, to my knowledge, doesn't really get recirculated or recycled out into the ocean. That right there is the airport for Fakarava, and the town, I believe, is kind of runs around this ring there, and then the main part of the town. I might be mixing this up with another one. Kind of runs through here, I believe. This is one of the more populous ones. There's not that many people that live on it. Like, I think maybe about 1,000 people. Get a lot of tourists, but not. Like, these islands don't have many people living on them full-time. Some of them have very few, and some of them are uninhabited. Especially further east, like past Makemo and Hao. Alright, so this here is, oh. I knew I was probably wrong there. This is Kauai right here. This is called Raraka. There's some fun names. This here is a very small, this one up here might actually be uninhabited. Taiaru. And then Katu, you can just kind of barely see it out in the distance here, and just past that is Makemo. So that's where we'll actually be flying over on our approach into land. There's a few more out down that way. And then a whole ton of water. Yeah, of course. In the very expansive South Pacific. I suppose we could turn that landing light off, although we'll need to turn it back on here in just a little bit when we descend. Okay, let me, yeah, 4 minutes to go and change on that there. We're going to go ahead and turn the altitude all the way down to 3,000. And actually our RNAV, or I'm sorry, our VNAV, if we go in to here, and it'll tell us the altitudes that we need to be at each of these. So this is telling us down to 2,400. So we could actually set that, and then we'll have to adjust it again once we get to that point. And then we're 800 feet over the final approach fix. And then of course the runway is very close to sea level. That is cool up here. You actually can see some of these other islands. If you look over the nose there, you actually get a really good view. It's Kauai. Whatever this one is called, I don't remember again. Katu here, and you can actually start to see Makemo in the distance. This right here is where the town and the airport are. That's where we'll be landing. And the south side of this is actually exposed just like reef and sandbars. All the inhabitable land is on the north. So when you're up, that's the advantage of being this high up at 27,000 feet, is you can actually see quite far ahead and quite far out that way at all the open ocean, and quite far that way at all of the other open ocean. So, yeah, plenty of stuff. Well, not a whole lot of stuff. It's mostly water today. But it's something a little different. I actually, I had a request to fly in this area. So, I'm happy to do it. It's a change of pace. I'd love to do some Alaska flying, but we may need to wait until it gets a lot colder and the weather kind of calms down a bit. It is pretty terrible throughout most of the state, and as many of you probably know, Alaska is one of my favorite places to fly in Flight Sim, but I don't really want to just be looking at a whole ton of clouds and, excuse me, you know, all of the icing and all of that, or the crud that comes with that kind of weather up there. Even in the Yukon, it's kind of crummy, which is a bit disappointing. And getting off to a late start, it's actually kind of dark throughout most of the East Coast right now. Well, probably all of the East Coast. What is that telling us? I didn't even hear what that... Oh! How did I accidentally click on that? Huh. Oh, probably 1 minute till top of descent. That might be what that indicator was for. Alright, let's look at our descent detente. 245. Or Mach 0.51, which we're actually below, so we'll keep our speed until it switches back over. That all is pretty standard there. We'll need to set our speed. I think we're gonna want to be at 190 by the time we reach, no, we need to be at 150. Or actually probably a little below that at that point. We'll turn auto throttle off there. We want to be at 190 there. Maria, can't wait to see the northern lights in Alaska in winter. Oh, it is going to be incredible. I cannot wait. Alright, we've started our descent. We're actually picking up some speed. So that's keeping us right about where we want to be. And descent rate is on track. Okay, that's looking good. And this is so cool. This plane has auto throttle, so we just let the flight plan and the VNav target our speed as we descend. This is all pretty easy to handle. In the SR-22, in a plane that you don't have auto throttle, you can't really do the RNAV or the VNav per se, by setting all of those kind of speed and engine profiles and everything like that. But obviously, in a plane like that, you manually control your airspeed with the throttle if you have a constant descent rate set, or the alternative is to have a constant speed set and control your descent rate with the throttle. But in this plane, since we have auto throttle, it handles all of that automatically. So it's really cool. I can't think of any piston planes that actually have auto throttle. Some turboprops, I believe, might. This is saying right now 10 minutes en route, or to the next fix, and it would be about 2 minutes after that for landing. But that really, I can't talk. That will realistically be more like 4 minutes by the time we get the airplane slowed down and everything like that. So we should be on the ground in, I would say, 15 minutes. quick view outside. This here is Tikehau, and then Makemo is just behind it. You can kind of see again kind of the area that would be coming into, right out over here. And you can see no real barrier islands, just sandbars and reef on that side. This is a pretty one. These are better represented in this sim. In 2020, they're just ocean. Like, the reefs are not actually resembled properly. So I'm glad to see they're better represented in this. I was eager to check that out. And I'm glad to see they did a better job with it this time around. Because it really, in 20... I didn't care for flying in this area because it just wasn't resembled properly, so it looked like just a couple stray islands without the reefs, and it was just water, dot, dot, line, dot, dot, water. At least this time they look more proper. So that's a good improvement. Well done to Microsoft for that change. 18,000. We need to try to find a way to get the weather at Makemo. We're showing 28 Celsius. Wind out of the northeast at about 12 miles an hour is what I'm seeing. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like it's reporting pressure. Oh, there we go. But I've got to convert it. Alright, let me see here. So it's 10, 15 hectopascals to inches. It's about 2997. There we go. Lots and lots and lots of water. Couple other little rings down that way. I'm not sure which atolls those are. We look outside, we're just about to pass over. Yep, now we did now. Tikehau right down here. There's a small airport. Right there? No, right there. Okay, that's just a road. And then the town. So we get a good view. 1, 2, 3, 4, FS24 over there. And then up ahead. So I think the airport actually sits right... Well, if this tab wasn't in the way. Right over here, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And then you can kind of see a little bit of the barrier, but the town kind of sits over here too. So... I think we're going to have a really pretty approach coming in. I believe... Oh yeah, we're going to get a good view of the town. It should be off our right wing coming in to land. I wonder how much time it would take to walk that atoll around. It depends on the size. Rangiroa, it would take forever. But some of the smaller ones, maybe a couple hours. This one, I don't think you physically could. Considering it's just sandbar and coral reef. Alright, we're coming in kinda hot. I hope this plane slows down in time, because otherwise that's going to be a real challenge, or we're going to have to circle to bleed speed off. Let me just check our VNAV, make sure this... That is set to 190. Yeah, so probably here, just a little bit it'll start. We're actually starting to kind of level our descent off a bit. Not really level off, but I should say reduce the descent rate. So that's a good sign. It's probably getting us down and then gonna slowly taper us off to bleed some speed. But yeah, so I did just check the map. The airport is gonna be over here, and that is the town right there. And if you look outside, you're actually just now starting to pass over Makemo here. You can kind of see it's broken here. Kind of some inlets for the water between the actual ocean and then the lagoon. And then out here, it's kind of just a ring. A couple sandbars and then just the coral. But I suspect, now I don't know this for certain, of course, but I suspect that you can't really walk around this end. I hear the engine throttling down. That's to get us to reduce our speed here down to 190. So that's actually good. And this is saying we're going to be on the ground in about 4 minutes, so that actually sounds about right. Alright, so what I'm going to do is actually, as we get set up on the straight course, we're going to set this down to 800. As we cross over the final approach fix, we'll probably hand fly the airplane. We could turn approach mode on once we get established. I don't know if that will work. Now we're down to 190. That actually slowed us down faster than it needed to, but that just gives us a little extra time to set up on the approach, so I'm not complaining about that there. I know one time I flew this plane and it slowed us down way too early, and it added a lot of unnecessary flight time, so that was a little bit puzzling, and I wish it hadn't done that, but by doing this like this here, it's totally fine. Let's pull the checklist up and just make sure that we get items taken care of before we get to final. So in-flight, normal, takeoff. Alright, that doesn't have them, so what we're going to do is we'll go into here. I know it does have them on this, so we'll scroll down, descent approach, thrust lever is set auto throttle, landing field elevation. If our altimeter is correct, which I believe it is to the best of our ability, given they don't have reporting altitude, or reporting pressure on the ground at Makemo. It's saying 11 feet above sea level, so it's pretty much the same as Tikehau, where we took off. A little bit more beach. I think the town is actually right up here. Grab a quick look outside. We don't have a lot of time. Oh, where is it? I'd have to look to see. It looks like it's taking us to idle. We can go ahead and drop half flaps. And we have 1,000 feet to go on the descent. Let's do our final items. That's going to be landing light on. Brakes are good. Ice protection is required, don't need it. Lights, landing light is on. Flaps are at half. Airspeed down to 140, so that's actually got us good. And last minute thing, final approach once we're established, we'll go ahead and put the gear down. Cabin pressure, windshield IPS, don't need to worry about that. No icing systems, it's warm, it's 22 Celsius here. So let's get out of that real quick, back into the map. I'm gonna zoom in on that real quick here, and we're gonna go ahead, disconnect the autopilot. Gonna go ahead and put the gear down. We're hand flying the airplane. Let's get our autopilot, or auto throttle off. Let me make sure. Oh, it automatically turned off, good. We can go full flaps. Gear confirmed down, flaps are at full. Nope, we need to level off a little bit, add just a touch of speed. We're actually low on the approach, we're letting the plane kind of descend. Let's do this, we can see a little bit better. Take a look here, that beautiful lagoon, starting to get the top of the trees. Alright, let's level off here. to try to go up. That's not a very good approach. In the real world, we would probably go around, but I know that we have the time to correct it. And remember, our power is a little bit more, or a little less responsive in this aircraft, so it does take time to make those adjustments that we need to, but we're saying to fly at 95 knots on final. Now we're looking good, so we can go ahead and lower the nose, pull back on the power a little bit here as we're coming in. Not sink too low yet. Oh, but that is beautiful. Alright, I'm going to take that power out now. Right over the runway, we're going to come down and stick it. And we actually have a bit of a crosswind that we're fighting. And here we go, power idle. Let's bleed some speed off. Come on now. Don't float. Don't float. There we go. Alright. Power idle and hit the brakes. And the good thing is we will turn off up ahead in this direction. So we're going to bring the flaps up. And we're slow enough we can add taxi thrust. Not a bad landing, not a great approach, but we were able to make those small corrections needed to basically secure a good landing. So the problem was as we got on that approach, the speed bled off and we started sinking. Oh, but that is beautiful. It looks like most of the town is up over this way. But I know there's some out to the left, to the west of here, that we passed over coming in on approach. Yeah, look at that wind. It's kind of a quartering crosswind. Or quartering headwind. Breezy. And look out that way. It's the deep blue ocean. Here's our turn. Up ahead is the slightly brighter blue lagoon, but you can actually see some pretty deep water out that way too. Alright, and this is a pretty easy place to get in. Taxi over here. We're going to watch this guy. He's telling us, oh, we came to a stop. I didn't mean to do that here. Let's throttle up. One thing about this jet when you're on the ground is it actually requires a fair bit of power to get moving, but then once you're moving, you've got to back off on the power. So it's kind of fine-tuning. It's not like the SR-22 that basically wants to move itself. Alright, shut down. Set the parking brake there. And we'll go through on our tablet. I know we have a shutdown checklist right there. Alright, so thrust is at idle, that's confirmed. Engine ice protection, I don't think we ever turn it on, so we're good. Bleed air will turn off, now fresh air. Master oxygen switch off. We hear the aircraft depressurize. We can turn all lights off. Now we'll turn the generator switches off. Now we're going to go back to this here, turn that dial back to off and hit the button. And we need to watch the N2 to make sure it goes below 24. It has, so that's good. Clear the caution. And then, battery switches off. We can turn that off as well. And parking brake is set. We are good to get out of the aircraft. And close our tablet. I wish this would open. Like when you get out of the aircraft. You just start up on the outside. That would be another kind of really cool touch. It'd be cool if you could walk out of the airplane. But here we are. I would love to get a custom airport for this island here, like a mod. that lets you do that, but I wonder how far we can walk. Like, can we walk out on the beach? Can we just walk all the way down to the beach? I'm curious to try that, just for fun. It'd be cool if we could run. Like, hey, we're on the ground, let's run down to the beach. This sort of crazy thing like that. I'm just doing this for fun. It's obviously not part of the flight, but I'm just curious if it's possible. Plane's all the way back there. It looks like it is. Hey, look at all the cars. Whoa, this is so cool. This is like an open world first person game now. That is so neat. You've got these different little mangrove trees, you've got the coconut trees. Gosh. Yeah, it does let you do that, sure enough. Looks like we're kind of... Oh, there we go. Yeah, the water's moving on our feet a little bit. That's pretty neat. And that is so beautiful. Our plane is all the way back there. Oh my gosh, though. That is just absolutely beautiful. Could you imagine actually flying in there and getting out of your plane and walking a few hundred feet just down to a place like this? I mean, that is just marvelous. Jimpers, what's going on, man? Welcome. I'm curious if you're going to do a Planco stream tonight, because there's a coaster I really want to show you, lol. I do plan on it. I'm going to take a short break and then we'll probably do one. I'm going to go till I'm tired, if I can. But, that is just marvelous. I just come to admire the view after getting out of the airplane. So, but just look at that, right there. What a perfect site to end on. No. I'm going to go ahead and end the stream here. I do think we'll pick back up with Planco in a little bit. I would say probably not more than a half hour. So, but yeah, that's going to do it for this one, folks. Welcome to beautiful Makemo in French Polynesia. Hope you enjoyed the flight. Hope you enjoyed the walk down to the beach. Kind of a little impromptu trip. But we'll pick back up in a little bit with Planet Coaster tonight. And I appreciate you all hanging out. I hope you enjoyed it again. And we'll see you for Planco soon. And as always, take care, stay safe. We'll see ya.